Welcome. Today we're looking into a story that's, well, it's deeply disturbing and tragic. We're going to recount the events surrounding the death of a young Polish woman, Magdalena in Egypt back in 2017. It's the case where a vacation just spiraled into something truly terrifying very quickly, and it left behind far more questions than answers. Magdalena, she was 27 years old. She owned her own beauty salon back in Poland. Seemed like she had a pretty normal life. But then, April 29th, 2017, she dies in Hurghada, Egypt. The official story. She jumped from a hospital window.
Officially ruled a suicide, yes.
But the circumstances leading up to that moment, they were just incredibly bizarre, frightening even. And because of that, especially in Poland, people just haven't accepted the official conclusion. There's intense speculation fueled by some really unsettling details. That's where this story really begins. So the trip itself started out pretty normally. It was meant to be a surprise birthday gift for her boyfriend, Marcus, an all-expenses-paid trip to a resort in Egypt. Sounds great.
The classic vacation plan.
Right. But then, just hours before they were supposed to leave, Marcus realizes his passport had expired. He couldn't go.
A common travel nightmare, unfortunately.
Yeah. So they tried to sell the tickets quickly, couldn't manage it, and Magdalena decided, okay, I'll go alone. She arrived just after midnight, April 26th. And that decision, to just go solo immediately after the plan changed, that was maybe the first hint that things were a little off.
It's certainly an unusual choice for many people, going alone on such short notice to a place like that.
And apparently, almost as soon as she got to her hotel room, things got strange, really strange. Her behavior changed completely.
Drastically. We see reports she started sending messages back home to friends in Poland, but talking as if they were right there with her in Egypt.
She told people she was hearing voices. Hotel staff saw her in the lobby shouting into her phone, apparently making these wild arm movements, just erratic.
And there's that video footage, too. It went viral. It shows her just lying completely still in the doorway of her room, wearing only a bathrobe.
It's incredibly disturbing to watch.
It is. And clinically speaking, while we know she had no documented history of mental illness, this kind of sudden, severe change, it looks a lot like a de novo psychotic episode.
Meaning like out of the blue.
Exactly. A sudden break with reality. And you have to consider the context. Suddenly finding yourself alone in a foreign country, high-stress environment, language barrier that can absolutely trigger an extreme reaction like paranoia or dissociation, even in someone previously stable.
So, as her behavior got more alarming, other people started getting involved, including a man who becomes quite central to this whole thing, Mahmoud Khairi. He works for the travel agency.
Right, the agency that booked the trip.
Her family back in Poland started getting these really weird, urgent messages. Some apparently came from Mahmoud's phone, things like, "Where you come to me." Very vague, very strange.
Which must have been incredibly alarming for the family.
Absolutely. And eventually the hotel staff actually sent a video of Magdalena showing her distressed state, basically telling the family, come get her. She needs help.
So Marcus, the boyfriend, he's scrambling back in Poland. He books a ticket for a friend to fly out immediately and help her.
But the friend couldn't get there until Saturday night. That's days away.
A critical delay.
And during that time, they took Magdalena to a local hospital. But she wasn't treated.
And there are conflicting stories about why. One version is the hospital didn't handle mental health cases, which sounds odd.
Yeah, unlikely maybe for a tourist hospital.
Perhaps. The other, maybe more plausible story is that she refused treatment. A doctor said she wouldn't even get out of the car, though other reports, or maybe footage, show her walking in, just looking very disoriented.
So whatever the reason, she didn't get help there, which meant the travel agency and Mahmoud Khairi specifically were kind of stuck with her. She needed help, clearly wasn't fit to be alone, but couldn't get immediate medical care.
And that might explain his constant presence. Yeah. Legally, the travel agency has a duty of care. They couldn't just abandon her, especially if she was showing signs of severe distress. Khairi being with her constantly, maybe handling her phone, arranging transport. It could have been protocol. Clumsy, maybe, but protocol nonetheless.
Trying to manage the situation until help arrived?
Yeah.
Okay. But things kept escalating. Saturday morning, she tries to leave, checks out of the hotel, goes to the airport.
Determined to get home.
But she's denied boarding. The airline staff saw her behavior as too erratic. They wouldn't let her fly.
So now she's stranded, can't fly home, can't go back to her original hotel.
Exactly. Effectively, she's left in Mahmoud Khairi's care again.
Yeah.
And this leads to probably the most unsettling piece of evidence in the whole case, the video call.
Ah, yes, the call to Marcus.
They're in the parking lot of potentially a new hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And Mahmoud Khairi uses his phone to video call Marcus, Magdalena's boyfriend. She's right there with him.
And her appearance on that call?
Terrified. Everyone whose side says she looked absolutely terrified. Marcus asks her, what happened? What's going on?
Yeah.
And she says, I cannot tell him. Just like that. He pushes her, asks again, and then she whispers, just one letter.
Just, chilling.
Marcus immediately asks, do you mean Mahmoud? Because Mahmoud is right there.
Oh.
But she refuses to answer that. She just says she'll call him later from her own phone, which never happened.
And that whisper completely changes the narrative for many people. It shifts everything from possible mental breakdown towards coercion, threat, maybe something criminal.
It raises so many questions. If Mahmoud was just helping, why is she whispering cryptically while he's standing right there, letting her make the call?
Exactly. And conversely, if he was involved in something sinister, why on earth would he facilitate that call in the first place? It's a huge paradox.
And she often used his phone, right? Even though she had her own.
That's another strange detail, yes. Adds to the confusion.
So regardless of what M really meant, that was the last time Marcus spoke to her. Shortly after that call, she was taken to a different hospital.
And this time, her state was deemed so severe that they took extreme measures. She was actually tied to the bed, restrained.
Which sounds awful,
Yeah,
but maybe indicated how distressed they perceived her to be.
potentially. And then came the final awful moment. According to the reports, she asked a nurse to untie her so she could use the bathroom.
The nurse agrees, unties her.
And as soon as she's free, Magdalena allegedly attacks the nurse, runs towards the window, and jumps from the second floor onto concrete steps below.
She didn't die immediately, right?
No, she died from her injuries the next morning.
Just devastating. And this is where the story people tell crashes headlong into the forensic facts, which often happens in these cases.
It does, and it's crucial we look at those facts. Because of the intense public interest and suspicion, especially from Poland, there was a lot of scrutiny on the investigation.
So they brought in Polish experts.
Yes, 2 separate teams of Polish forensic experts. One team actually attended the initial autopsy in Egypt, and a second team performed another examination when her body was returned to Poland. This was specifically to ensure transparency and rule out any potential cover-up or bias.
Okay, so what did these independent Polish experts, along with the Egyptian findings, actually conclude?
Unequivocally, they concluded she was not a victim of sexual assault. There was no physical evidence of that whatsoever.
No signs of violence other than the fall.
Correct. Her injuries were entirely consistent with a fall from that height onto that surface. Nothing more, nothing less.
And the toxicology, that's always a big question in these theories. Was she drugged?
That was perhaps the most significant finding. The toxicology reports came back negative for any narcotics, recreational drugs, date rape drugs. Nothing like that.
Nothing.
The only drugs found in her system were antipsychotics, strong ones, which aligns perfectly with the hospital having administered medication to try and calm her extreme distress before she jumped.
So, forensics point strongly towards a sudden mental health crisis leading to suicide, with no evidence of foul play, assault, or drugging.
That's what the physical evidence indicates, yes.
But, as we said, the public narrative, especially back in Poland, went in a completely different direction.
Completely. Theories exploded. She was kidnapped, targeted by sex traffickers. Maybe the boyfriend was involved somehow, though the short notice of the trip makes planned drug smuggling seem unlikely. The young Polish woman murdered in Egypt narrative took hold very strongly.
And you mentioned the media playing a role.
Absolutely, you had different pressures. Egypt's authorities likely preferred the suicide ruling, understandably, because their tourism industry relies heavily on safety and stability. A murder scandal would be disastrous.
And in Poland.
Polish tabloids really ran with the murder angle. It was sensational. There was even an online poll. I think about 8,000 people responded, and something like 96% said they believed she was murdered. 96%. That shows you how strongly the public rejected the official findings.
Wow. That's overwhelming. And then there was the involvement of that reality TV investigator.
Krzysztof Rakowski, yes. A well-known figure in Poland. He got involved, initially pushing back hard against the suicide theory. He claimed her athleticism, she was apparently a marathon runner, meant she couldn't have died from a second-floor fall.
Which sounds questionable, medically speaking.
Highly questionable. But he promoted the idea she was drugged by an organized gang, possibly for rape, and that Mahmoud Khairi was key in preventing her escape. Khairi was questioned by authorities, by the way, but released without charge.
So Rakowski was pushing the foul play theory hard.
Initially, yes. But then the full autopsy reports came out, the ones confirmed by Polish experts, ruling out assault, ruling out drugs other than the hospital meds.
And what happened then?
He had to walk it back. Faced with the forensic evidence, Rutkowski concluded his investigation and publicly stated that actually suicide resulting from a mental breakdown was the most likely cause of death, a complete reversal.
So even the person most publicly championing the murder theory eventually sided with the forensic evidence.
Correct.
Which leaves us, and leaves you listening, with this really difficult paradox. On one hand, you have clear, multi-verified forensic evidence pointing towards a tragic, sudden, psychotic break leading to suicide. No assault, no other drugs.
A phenomenon, sudden psychosis, which can happen even without prior history. It's rare, but possible.
But on the other hand, you have that incredibly disturbing video call, the look on her face, that whispered M, the constant presence of Mahmoud Khairi, things that just feel wrong, threatening.
Was she experiencing profound paranoia as part of a psychotic episode, perceiving threats that weren't physically real but felt terrifyingly real to her, leading her to try and escape in the most desperate way?
Or was there a real, non-physical threat, coercion, something that terrified her into silence, something the autopsy couldn't possibly show?
And we may simply never know the answer to that with certainty. The tragedy is undeniable either way. A young woman went on vacation and ended up dying in terror far from home.
The official conclusion points one way, based on the physical evidence. But that whisper, that video, it ensures the unsettling mystery endures. It's a chilling case, a reminder of how vulnerable we can be in unfamiliar places and how quickly things can fall apart. And also how powerful narratives can become, sometimes overshadowing the facts themselves. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Magdalena Uk's incredibly sad and perplexing story.
It's one that certainly stays with you, raising difficult questions about perception, reality, and evidence.
If you found this story compelling, and you're interested in more true crime, horror stories, and investigations into the unsettling, please do follow our channel, Horror Docs.
Yeah, please like the video, share it if you think others should hear this story, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing these cases to light.
We appreciate you listening. We'll be back soon with another story. Take care.